Welcome to Breaking the Chain. I'm Jacob.
And I'm Cody.
And with like Pro Tour coming up, there's a lot, and like Nationals just ended. There's not actually a lot of information or a lot of things to really talk about. So we actually wanted to dive a little bit deeper into like lore today, which like I'm excited. We're doing only like a brief overview of like a lot of the areas, but that's kind of what we have planned.
So basically this is going to be effectively the precursor, might not be the right word, but I guess an initial lore episode that just kind of goes over all the regions at like a somewhat not very detailed but like surface level description, so that in the future when we do lore episodes about a specific region or maybe some characters from a specific region or whatnot, you guys have this background knowledge of the overall world or continent of Rathe. I guess what is the world called? Do we know what the world?
It is the world of Rathe.
It is World of Rathe. Okay, because it's also the continent of Rathe, right?
I think so. I just know it's Rathe because Rathe is Earth backwards. Oh no, it's not Earth backwards. It's an anagram.
Yeah. I was like, wait.
Like I said that and I'm like, wait, that's not correct at all.
I was like, it starts with R.
It's an anagram of Earth. But
okay, so it's like World of Rathe and Continent of Rathe. Okay.
Yeah.
But anyway, we want to have this initial lore episode about the regions of the World of Rathe, and then when we do more lore episodes in the future, we have this. You guys have this context, because I don't even have the context of all these regions. I don't. Jacob's gonna be driving a lot of these these conversations, these lore discussions about the regions. I dove into the High Seas lore though, so depending on how much time we have near the end of the podcast, I'm going to be talking about High Seas specifically, so that in the next episode we can talk more about the stories from High Seas. But anyway, that's some of the details on the lore for today that we're going to go over. What was your week in Flesh and Blood like?
So, things have finally ended at work. Things are no longer crazy. I got to go to an armory on Tuesday. So, I went to an armory, luckily, but I didn't do much outside of that. I played Jarl again. Nice. Which I haven't played him in a hot minute, and it felt so good and so nice to be back on my boy. And there was one game which I definitely have been off him for like a month and a half now, and it's like a little rusty, but there was one game, like my second game I was playing against a Slippy, and pretty early on I destroyed his his gloves, which was good because that's pretty relevant in that matchup. And I took a lot of damage just to destroy his gloves. I in that matchup, a lot of my approach is I need to take out the gloves with like knives immediately. It does not matter what I have to sacrifice or how I do it. They have to go. So I wouldn't say like super far behind, but like I was on the back foot for a while because I just pushed so much into taking out his gloves. Taking out Slippy's gloves. And then like I'm on the back foot, but I'm like working towards the pitch stack, and right before the pitch stack, the turn before the pitch stack, my opponent like doesn't have as much gas and gives me room to breathe, and then I hit my pitch stack, and it's Oakenhold, Tear Asunder, Oakenhold, Icequake, Frostfang, Oakenhold. It was awesome. It was sick. It was the dream. And like I was going through the process, and they're like, I'm just waiting for you to not draw a good hand. I'm like, we're in the pitch stack. It's not it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Oh, it felt so good. And that's like, I love Guardian for that reason. Like I love being able to like, okay, I'm a little on the back foot, but like let me bide my time for late game, hope something lets up. And then being able to come around and be like, okay, I've been playing towards this the whole game. You gave me the opportunity to come back and steal this game. Because I was definitely behind and taking the brunt of a lot of things. But as soon as like the door opened, I seized my opportunity. It was sick. I love those games. Those are my favorite games. And like we were talking to it afterwards, I'm like, if there was just like if you were able to just disrupt me more, or maybe even hold off my like pitch stack by like a turn or something, or even like counter pitch stack me, I'm like, I think you had it. It's just like you had like that one turn was such a crucial turn.
Yeah, some people will eventually have weak turns, especially if you if like they get to their pitch stack and it's a lot of blues, right?
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, so it was super cool. And that like I went 2-1 at the armory, which I haven't gotten a winning armory since I went with Valden, but like
hey, but Jarl almost took you there.
but y'all almost took me there. I did play I did play Verdance in my last matchup, which is like I've never beaten a Verdance on Jarl, but I have on Valda. It's a weird.
You can kind of just kill him with Volder, right?
Yeah. And it's like it's actually I like it a lot. At the same time, it's like I don't know how I feel about it. But it's kind of cool because like you can build super tall attacks, so it's like 20 dominate, and they can only block with one Earth card. So to decompose, you're forcing them to do like really weird things because they need to get Earth in their graveyard, but you're not attacking them to get them let them put the Earth in their graveyard.
Yeah. So you have this really slow early game while you're trying to like wait for your equipment destruction.
Yeah, and you're just like I'm trying to play big auras on Valda, and I think that's what allows you
Oh, with
to.
Volda. Oh, I was thinking
Yeah,
Jarl.
sorry, with Valda. No, it's like I think that's what allows you to take the game as Valda is because like if you can get the right setup in the right beginning, they're so slow to start because everything has like dominate and you do so much damage that they're like half the life of another Guardian when they really start playing the game. Well, with Jarl, you're both playing at 40, and they can set up the combo pieces, and you just gotta hope and pray that for some reason something stupid happens where you banish their like tear asunder. Oh, they can't block. Their legs are gone. They had an only like rampant growth life in hand. Oh, took two of them. Like
I see, I see. So you have to like hit their combo pieces with your disruption, basically.
yeah. Or like there's I need to get better at this. There's a strategy of counter pitching them, like watching their pitch stack and getting ready and pitching a like Oakenhold down. So you can on their like combo turn throw like the big thing or like throw the disruption. Like know when to throw the disruption is like you need a counter pitch stack. And that's I need to get better at that. That's where I struggle sometimes.
I see, I see. Okay.
Anyways, what did you do in Flesh and Blood?
Unfortunately, nothing this week. What's funny too is that I was actually looking forward to going and playing on Tuesday because I could go this week. However, long story short, my wife's car has issues and therefore she needed my car to go to work, and so I didn't have a ride to go to Mythic on Tuesday, even though I could go. So it's kind of sad. I was just had to play some Dash IO again, but probably would have queued into you round one and have been sad. Although actually, I haven't played the Euro matchup with what's it called, Cog in the Machine. So I don't know. Maybe it could be better. I doubt it, but maybe.
Maybe. I did play Luke on Dash IO. He was not running Cog of the Machine.
No, he's not a fan. He's not a believer in the
Oh,
Cog. Yeah. How did that one
I
go?
was talking to him. Um, I definitely got there. It was interesting talking to him about the match. He got all three of his what is it called? The 2 for 10.
Max V.
Yeah, he got all three max V's off on me.
Okay.
But he just couldn't get the boom grenades down. And his like important boom grenade turns, I was able to prevent and fully block. So I got there in the end, but it was interesting because he's like talking about the game afterwards. He's like, and he seems pretty excited going into Pro Tour, and I'm like excited to root for him.
Same.
But yeah, I'm hoping he does well. That would be super sick to see him do so well. But yeah, and he's like, oh yeah, I'm like online and against other people, I'm like 50-50 into like Jarls. I'm like, that's crazy.
I could believe that there's some you can make it a lot closer than how I've my experience into you.
Yeah,
I will
that's fair.
say too that like I think because your list is a heavier ice, right? A little bit heavier disruption. Because you think you get the frost things and whatnot, right?
Yeah, I have like the like an aggressive ice build, which is
Right.
like interesting because like there's only one other person I've ever seen or played against that's like similar to my list, and
Yeah.
that's like Lee at our armory. That's I can only assume has taken a little bit of influence from the cards
Yeah.
I've given him and playing against me.
Yeah, so against the other Jarl lists, I could believe that there's a chance. Against
Yeah.
your list, it's a little bit tougher.
It is like so brutal sometimes when I'm like, oh, like I'm gonna throw like 10 damage and disruption.
Yeah.
Oh, you got frostbites and it's coming in for 10. What are you gonna do? Oh, you blocked out. Okay, well, here's some more aggressive. And like the blue
Exactly.
ice quakes are just a game changer too, in like that kind of matchup.
Yes, yeah,
Because
the
it's like, oh,
Dio, like any ice quake is not what you want to see.
so good. So
But
I
yeah,
think like it's slowly becoming one of my favorite cards in the entire game. Like the more I play Ice Quake, I'm like, oh, this card's amazing. Why isn't this in every Jarl deck?
it blocks too.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I wish I'd been able to make it, and I would have played Dash IO if I did. Because she's been feeling good. I like Dash IO lately. I think she's in a good spot. New's no longer here, which is great. And Dash IE's no longer here, which doesn't change anything. We'll get into that. But yeah, that was unfortunately my week in Flesh and Blood was actually my week in Flesh and Blood was reading the lore is what it was to getting prepared for this episode. But yeah, and then I actually have, so after the week in Flesh and Blood, I have a message from Luke. Speaking of Luke, I have a message from him to share with you that I got last night that I thought was really cool. And he said, and I'll read it for verbatim. I just got word that y'all have a huge Breaking the Chain stan. She says it's the only podcast she'll actively look out for. I thought that was just the coolest thing to hear. I was like, this made my night. I think it might have made my week. Like, it was really cool to hear that we just have like someone that really actively looks out, it looks forward to our episodes and is excited for them. And I thought that was really cool.
That is very cool.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like I have noticed that like we have like consistent commenters all the time too. It is like super cool to like jump on and like see all the commenters and like read all the comments from like the same people every week. It's like
Yeah.
it's cool to have
It's
this kind
exciting.
of like interaction.
Yeah, like we just enjoy making this, and it's really cool to see that other people are enjoying us making this too. I think that just makes it all worth it to me. So really, we really appreciate you guys for watching here and supporting us. It's awesome. So just want to throw that out there. Got the message from last night. I thought it was really cool.
It's awesome.
So you want to go to some Nationals results?
Yeah, we can jump into the Nationals results. So we were wrong last week when we said we were done with Nationals.
Yeah, we were. I noticed that whenever I saw some Nationals happening this past week, and I was like, oh, there was another week of Nationals. So I guess, okay,
Yeah.
so wait, so on that topic, so U.S. Nationals happened, and then we had 2 weeks until the next Nationals, right? If I understand correctly.
Yeah.
So that we had effectively 5 weeks of Nationals, although there was like a break between U.S. Nationals and what they call week 1 of Nationals, which is interesting. It's like U.S. Nationals premiered the high C set, and then there was a weekend off, and then they did 3 more weeks of Nationals. So
well, from what I've heard from you and others, is like U.S. Nationals was actually meant to be closer to the rest of Nationals. It was supposed to be a week after or something.
right. So my theory though was that it was because high C's was delayed. But I think now that knowing this information, it's that the venue had to probably be pushed up a week instead.
Yeah.
And so that makes a big difference. Is that it was probably intended for U.S. Nationals to be pushed up a week, and then for it to be weeks 1 through 4 instead of it being this gap ahead. So that was really really interesting to discover. Was that my theory was wrong? It wasn't that high C's was delayed by a week. It was that the U.S. Nationals was pushed up by a week.
Yeah, which is like really interesting.
Yeah, I mean that's just like it comes with the logistics of having to organize these things for almost every country in the world, right? Like it's just an impossible task to do correctly. So I don't blame them for having some small issues here and there. That's not easy to do.
Oh yeah, it makes me wonder too, like how often like a bunch of Nationals end up changing around by a week. But it's like because they always try and have like U.S. Nationals at the beginning, that's when it became the problem. When it's like, oh, like Denmark moved forward a week, so it's a part of the first week instead of the second week or stuff like that. It's like, oh, okay, not a huge deal. But then you have U.S. nationals, and it's like, we have to move that forward a week.
Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah,
that's
the
not
biggest
good.
one, right? Because I think U.S.
Yeah,
Nationals was like, was it 450 players? I think something like that.
something like that. And
I
it's
think the second largest was Canada with I think two to 300 somewhere around there. I think something
I
like that.
honestly don't know player
I don't
counts.
know
That would make
either.
a lot of sense, but it is interesting to see all this. And it's cool to see the meta evolve. Like the meta is so different, and even the US meta was like felt pretty fresh
I mean,
because
yeah,
you
it was
just
very
had
fresh.
yeah. But it's
Yeah.
like it was cool to like see all this evolve throughout the weeks. And I think we can like take this to jump into like the bigger meta game. But like this last week, the most winning hero was Slippy. Like, isn't that insane? Like,
Yep. Oh, actually, I wanted to look back and see because the week before was Syndra, right?
no, I think the week before it might have been Slippy as well, actually.
I'm looking it up. I'm looking it up. Oh, it was Slippy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It was Slippy and then Gravy Bones. That's what it was, and they were tied. It was Slippy at 3, Gravy Bones at 3, Prism at 2, and a lot of ones. Okay, so Slippy has maintained the lead as the nationals championship number of winners.
But like this week has like so many cool heroes in it. And this is like the most developed this meta's been. And we are seeing so many cool heroes. We saw Dash IE win a nationals, which is
Yeah.
the last nationals she needed. We saw Acilio win 2 nationals this week. We saw Leviah win a national this week. Like,
Oh.
yeah, there's Florian's back in the game. There's Kano. There's
A lot.
Kasai, there's Victor. Like you see a lot of really cool heroes that like I or like even a few heroes that a lot of people I think thought were pretty unplayable. Like no one thought Dash IE or Leviah were like going to make or win any events. I think it's really funny because people thought Azalea was gonna leave, but Dash IE, who is a lot closer,
Well,
no one was talking about. And it's like
it's funny too because speaking of Azalea, she got 2 wins, and guess what that puts her living legend points at? 999.
we're back, baby. We're
One
back.
single point off of living
That's
legend.
so funny.
Death Dealer is here to stay.
I think it's really funny because like I swear it's got to be once a year we have a hero hit like 998 or 999, like literally
Yeah.
one win from like getting there. Like every year they're like, who's the hero this year? And I guess it's Azalea hitting the mark, but it's
I think this is the first
really
time we've had a
funny.
hero at 999 too, because
Yeah.
usually it's like a multiple of 2 or something that you get for winning these things, but because of the structure of the 1.5x, she's at
Mhm.
999.
Yeah, with like the multiplier and all the different effects. It's so funny.
Yeah,
I like it a lot.
I
Like
do too.
it's not I think it's really funny. And this is like it's got to be like a bit
Yeah.
like there's always a hero that's like 1 point or 1 win away. Like they could go to a local armory and get an LL point somehow and knock themselves out. It's so funny. But yeah, it is cool to see all of this happening and see how like wide the meta looks and feels.
Yeah, no, I agree. Oh, but on the topic of LL2, with Dash IE LLing, we have not only our second Arcane Rising hero LL, but we have a Mechanologist Classic now gone. Plasma Pistol. Tecloplasma Pistol. Gone for good now. Unfortunately, no more pistol for any of the other Mechanologists that might want to use it. I think it was only really um, Teclovasin and I think sometimes Max would run Tecloplasma Pistol, right?
Mhm.
That was it.
To my
There was like,
knowledge, Max really liked it.
oh, did it? Okay.
Yeah.
There was also the potential for a spicy Dash IO list that was running it, but I don't think that was ever real.
Yeah.
But yeah, Tecloplasma Pistol gone. Sad to see.
And it is kind of sad. Like as a Guardian player, like I should be celebrating. Like, let's go. That weapon sucked. It's so hard to deal with as a Guardian player. But like it was super cool. Even though I got beat up by a lot or beat up by it a lot, it's like it is just like a classic strategy of like I'm just gonna make this pistol shoot you 6 times with one blue. Like what are you
Yep.
or like 3 times with one blue. But anyways, like what are you gonna do? It's like
Yep.
now it's like not the same. It's you can do that. Do we even have another pistol in game?
We do. Now I gotta double check that actually.
Yeah, now we're
Is it a pistol or a gun? Because we definitely have
it's a
guns, but
pistol.
pistol. Okay, yeah. So we don't have another pistol. It's only Technopass and pistol. Um, I do wonder if they're gonna make another pistol. That would be kind of
Yeah.
cool to see if they make maybe just a toned down version of it, so that induction chamber and plasma purifier still have some play.
Yeah, or just some different way around it. But it is like sad to see like that game plan and game strategy just like poof.
Yeah, I mean to be
It is such a
fair,
classic strategy.
that strategy hasn't been real in a long time.
That's true.
I think it was maybe since Mistfell came out that Slapdash, as it's been
Yeah.
called, has not really had any place in the meta. People have sometimes tried to bring it back with like CYB and stuff, but didn't quite have enough to get there. The fatigue game plan of technical plasma pistol didn't really have any legs for a while. So which is kind of unfortunate. I kind of liked that deck existing. I don't know why, but there was something that was kind of cool about it to me. Maybe it was just because
Yeah.
Easton piloted it in Worlds and got top 4 with it, and that was I just had like that draw to it because we are Colorado local, took it so far. But I don't know. I liked the deck. I thought the deck was kind of cool. It had a unique way of playing a like fatigue control game.
Yeah. I liked it too. And it's like it's one of those matchups where it didn't feel like completely doomed like
Mm.
Verdance or like any wizard does on Guardian. It's like a okay, like one, I need to know how to play the matchup, and it's where it's like where I think like Decimator Great Axe is like a similar thing. Like I need to know how to play the game. It's like
Right.
me playing my normal Guardian game into either of those matchups is not gonna help. So I need to know how to step in, what cards to prioritize, what's important, what's like really needs to happen. But like two, like you also have to get a little bit lucky. Like not only do I have to know how to play the game, I also just can't draw too many dud hands.
Yeah, I think that was the cool thing about that deck too, is that it had a bit of like, is fragility a word? It was a bit fragile in a sense where like you could double draw your induction chambers and plasma purifiers, and those cards are reds that don't block. And if you have to pitch one for your pistol, that just delays your end game by a lot. Um, and so I think there was the fact that it had counterplay. It wasn't just like a guaranteed like fatigue. Like for example with Decimator Great Axe, that game like it plays the same every time. But with the
Mhm.
Slapdash deck, like the way that you draw the cards can change the way that that deck plays, and there's some counterplay to it. You can throw disruption and make them lose their items and so on and so forth. I think that it was one of the more interesting like combo. That's not combo. Is more interesting fatigue decks to play against.
I completely agree. And it's like I really enjoyed it. I thought it was super cool.
I did too.
I am sad to see it go. And even if I had like a bad matchup into it as a Guardian player, it was fun. I really liked it.
Yeah, I still remember where were we? Were we in L.A. with Jake when we were practicing at a bar? We like he took
Yeah.
out his slab dash and we were just like let's learn this deck. let's
Yeah.
run some reps into this deck. Yeah, but
Those are
anyway,
some good memories.
I don't want to. We probably shouldn't take too much longer on slab dash.
Yeah.
But yeah, so to summarize week three's wins, Arachne slipped through the cracks, got 4 wins. Syndra got 3 wins. Azalea 2, Acilio 2, and then a lot of ones. There were a lot of nationals championships this past weekend. It looks like about 15, roughly 15, which is really cool. And then we
Right,
also have. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I was looking one thing up real quick.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was even in Spain where Dash IE won, which is like an insane area to win on Dash IE.
It's
Like you have
insane.
Pablo Piccor in the
Yeah, you
mix
have the
there.
Sunflower Samurais there.
Yeah,
Who do we know
yeah,
who won?
exactly. It was Alvaro Francisco Toldeneo Benito. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Sorry if I didn't.
Almost certainly didn't, but it's fine. I wouldn't do any better. Yeah, I don't see it here. Oh, here we go. There it is. Yeah, I don't know if he's on the Samurais, the Sunflower Samurais. So that means he probably took some of them out to get there. That's pretty cool. But yeah, and then the overall, the final standings for national championships. We have two very prominent heroes. Syndra with 8 wins, Slippy with 8 wins, and then followed that with 4 wins is the following wins for the heroes below that are Gravy Bones and Prism, and Verdance, and then we have a lot of like 3s and 2s and 1s. Mm-hmm. Some clear winners of the national season.
Yeah, and it's like you have these clear winners, but it's like it's super interesting because they're not so dominant. Like I think you can sit down and choose a deck that's good in a Syndra. It doesn't feel like a few of the past metas where it's like, oh, it's Aurora, like the best deck into Aurora is like a 50-50 if it's that, or like, oh, it's Viscerai, like Viscerai just has like a 60, like it doesn't feel like, oh, it's Syndra. Okay, like I can sit down and play Yarrow. That's pretty good in a Syndra. Oh, right. It's Slippy. What's good in a Slippy? I don't know Slippy that well, and I'm pretty sure Jarl normally has a bad win rate in a Slippy, but like your homeboy is doing
now
good.
I'm curious. I'm gonna look up meta stats.
Yeah. But yeah, I think Jarl's normally bad in the Slippy, but like it feels like these are very, very beatable decks for being the best decks in the room. So it's really cool and really interesting.
Interesting. Wow, Slippy has some great Talishar stats. Huh. You only lose to Victor, Azuri, and Florian. Oh, and Mario. Arachne Marionette.
Oh, yeah.
So you only have 4 bad matchups, and the rest of them are like 50 plus.
I do think Victor is like a real hero too. He did win a national, so you have to be a little bit afraid as a Slippy.
I mean, the thing is that's only a 48%er. It's actually not even that bad.
Oh wow, that's not that bad at all.
Yeah, it's just one of the that's how good Slippy's matchup table is. Is that one of his bad matchups? One of his 3 bad matchups is 48%.
Okay, maybe he's a lot better than I thought he was.
Yeah,
he just doesn't feel that dominant.
I guess maybe people just haven't picked him up enough yet. Oh, you know what? You know why Victor isn't doing too hot right now? He has a 32 or no, that's he has a 29% win rate into Gravy Bones, which makes sense.
Victor has that bad of a oh no, bad. Victor, that is really bad.
So yeah, Slippy showing some pretty good numbers. That's interesting. I did not realize that he was doing so well.
59% win rate overall, which is pretty good.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Arachne Marionette is at 56 too.
Yeah, Marionette's at 56, and then following that is Fang at 55, and Dory at 56, and then Fang at 55.
I was just about to say Dory's at 56 too.
The Warriors also up there in win rate. That's interesting.
Basilia is just straight 50.
Basilia is 50-50 overall. And then there's a lot of
interesting kind of looking at this.
Less than 50s.
Yeah.
Huh. That's cool.
I mean, Victor's at 53, Vincent's at 52, Burden's at 54, Uzuri at 51. Like, there's actually quite a few heroes above 52.
Oh yeah, there's quite a few heroes above 50.
Kasai 52, even Katsu's at 49, KO at 48, Kano, Ira's straight up 50-50. I mean, Florian's still at 54. Like,
hey, I'm impressed that Betsy's at 46. That's not bad for Betsy.
Is at 46. That is not bad.
But anywho, actually, we will go over this because our next thing is Pro Tour meta predictions. So this is relevant for that.
We're just doing our homework.
Yeah, we're just doing our homework exactly during the podcast.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. So yeah, Slippy looking like a very strong contender going into Pro Tour Singapore. Now I'm kind of curious. I'm rooting for Luke. So how is the Dash.io matchup? Ooh, it's pretty good for Slippy. 62%. Hopefully there's not too many Slippies there. Not impossible. That's not the worst. I think the main thing is that Slippy just has so much disruption, right?
Yeah.
Dash.io is at 51%.
Yeah, I think that's the hard part of a lot of like Dash's matchups is like you get into disruption and they have 3 blocks, all of a sudden you're like, oh, how, like you take an off turn, they get at it, you take an on turn, like.
Yeah, but at the same time they have 3 blocks, but they don't have a ton of armor, and so your like attacks for 4 with a boom grenade are kind of annoying. They also don't run that many D reacts, right? So like you attack for 4, and what do? They block with a 3 block and they're like boots. They're black tech whispers, and then you attack with 4. You attack with 4 again, and they cry.
You got a point.
They just have to let the boom grenade hit. I think basically they just have to disrupt you. They need to get you like they just need to like do more against you than you were doing against them. Yeah. Which I think they can do pretty easily, unfortunately. But anywho, yeah, Slippy is looking very good going into Pro Tour Singapore. Syndra is obviously still a strong pick, 53% on Talishar stats overall going into Pro Tour Singapore, but does have a losing Slippy matchup. Azalea is still here and probably still pretty good. I think Dash.io is pretty good.
I just feel like it's going to be so hard for her to perform at a Pro Tour because, like, you do draw those hands of like, oh, only buffs. Oh, it's only a buff on top. Like, I literally can't attack you. I don't have a weapon. Block 8 with my entire hand. And I don't play Azalea. There could be better things, but
I will say though, Azalea these days has gotten a lot more consistent with the New Horizon build. You can prevent that a lot more outside of the first turn. The first turn that can always just happen. But outside of the first turn, like actually even in the first turn, you're running the what's that card called? Take aim. You've always been running take aims, but now you also have, I think it's called Calling the Big Guns from High Seas, which also loads an arrow face up. Oh no, sorry, that loads an arrow. My bad. So that is different from take aim in terms of consistency, because take aim, what you could do with Azalea is you could load it face down, opt with Skullbone, and then find an arrow that way. But also if you're on New Horizon, you can't opt anymore. So then it's interesting. you like up your consistency later in the game, but you have less turn 0 and turn 1 consistency with the New Horizon build. But anywho, not to dig into Azalea too much. I think those are the biggest contenders, right? Is Syndra, Slippy. I mean, Gravy Bones is always still a strong option. Ira's getting the new Armory deck, which there could be a really good Ira build out there. I've heard some rumblings about combo Katsu with Edge of Bottom cards. Yeah, the Ira Armory deck cards. So maybe this is a busted Katsu deck that's out there that's we're gonna get surprised by at Pro Tour Singapore. Outside of that,
Bonds,
do you think there's any
Katsu?
Exactly, yeah. You go like Bonds into Edge of Autumn into a Vengeance card. I don't know. Outside of that though, do you have any spicy predictions for maybe for the Pro Tour Singapore meta or top 8?
There's gotta be. I'm trying to think of something spicy because like I don't know what's like super spicy and what's just like, okay, that can be expected. That makes sense.
Right.
Because like I think I'm just gonna go straight top 8. My meta prediction for top 8.
Okay.
I'm thinking we're gonna have 1 Syndra, 1 Gravy Bones.
Okay.
1 Dash.io. I actually really think Dash.io is really strong. So 1 Dash.io. Maybe 2 Slippies. A Prism, I definitely think. I could definitely see a Verdance, and this is where I'm gonna get spicy on the last one. I'm gonna have to go Guardian. I'm gonna go with Victor.
right, I like it. My top 8 prediction is going to be 2 Verdance. I think that's going to be the hero that shows up the most. 2 Verdance, a Syndra, a Slippy. I don't know after that, honestly. I think the rest of it, I'm not sure. Maybe I need to up by numbers.
Right.
Maybe it's like 3 Verdance, a Slip, 2 Slippy, a Syndra, a Florian, and a Gravy Bones.
A Florian, that's spicy.
I think if Florian's gonna make it to top 8. That's my prediction.
Okay.
Three Verdance. I'm gonna say it's an Earth summer in Singapore. 3 Verdance, 1 Florian, Gravy Bones, 2 Slippy, 1 Syndra.
Okay. I was going very wide with mine, and then my like dark horse Victor in there because
Yeah, I think Victor could make it.
Thrown him.
I think the Gravy Bones play like is kind of we're losing his play rate, and therefore Victor can probably come back and make and I think Victor could make it to top 8. I could believe it. I was just looking at Verdance.
I think the Verdance.
Yeah,
I think the Verdance and the Gravy Bones are like pretty scary as Victor, but if you can like I think it's for a pro tour it's gonna be pretty narrow, but I also think like it's gonna be a wider pro tour than it's been in a while. So it's like you can probably play like the dream is you can play around those and like just get lucky all the way up. And I think Victor has some really strong plays.
Yeah, I think that like it really just depends too on in terms of Florian because Florian was pushed back by Verdance because terrible Verdance matchup. But I mean 65% win rate into Slippy.
So what's his win rate into Gravy as well?
Let's see. It is 50-50. No, sorry, 45.
Really?
No, 45.
Okay.
I was looking at the wrong.
That's not as bad as I thought it was.
It's not that bad. I don't think that probably holds up at the high level. I think there's probably play on both sides though. I think it might like balance on both sides. I think the really good Gravy Bones players make it worse, but then like the really good Florian players are probably have better game plans than the Gravy Bones. So I think it probably evens out to stay around the same percentage if I were to guess.
Okay.
If I had to do a spicy pick I'm gonna put a spicy pick in there. I'm gonna say instead of it being three Verdance, it's gonna be an Ira. It's gonna be 2 Verdance, an Ira, 2 Slippy, Syndra, Florian. What was my last one?
Do really like the Ira pick, especially with the new cards. I did make an Ira deck.
Oh, did you?
New cards, and I did like, I'm just gonna see if this deck works, and I went and played against the bot, and I got like 220-something damage turns in a row. I'm like, okay, like
it's pretty good.
This feels pretty good. Like that assumes at least like one of the things hit the combo chain, but like this seems pretty good.
Pretty nice. I will say, like, I feel like a lot of the strength in Ira these days is dual threat, and the new Edge of Autumn stuff doesn't really utilize that too well. You only have one weapon. Actually, sorry, that's not true. You can flick it or destroy it and then re-equip it and then swing it again.
Yeah,
so you can do that.
It's
not very likely,
really,
but
it's really weird because like there were a couple turns where I tried. Like I do have dual threat in the deck. I think the turn that I got like 26 damage was a double dual threat turn. Where it's like I can't remember exactly what I did, but it was something into the sword or the sword into something. I react over, got sword back. Like again, assumptions that things hit. But then after I get the sword back, it's like dual threat, like sword for 7 or something like that. Yeah, sword for 7. Oh, they're gonna let that leak. Search out for the
Whirling Mist Blossom, yeah.
Whirling Mist Blossom coming in for 8 at that point. So it's like just
wow, yeah. Edge of Autumn for 7 to Whirling Mist Blossom for 8 is really good.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was
I see
like
it.
Yeah. So it's like again, there's like some assumptions going on, but like even to see the ability of Ira to go like, oh, like you're not blocking, let me just blow up on you is pretty cool.
Yeah, I agree. All right. Well, anything else you want to talk about when it comes to Pro Tour Singapore?
Ooh, I'm gonna pick a. This might change next week, but my winning hero.
Like, so take it all down.
Yeah, to take it all down. I'm gonna put. Ooh, this is tough. Actually, I'm gonna say. I'm gonna go super spicy. I'm gonna say Prism.
Interesting. I'm gonna say Gravy. I think Gravy's gonna take it down.
Okay.
That's my take. That's my take.
Okay. Okay.
Um. All right. So
Like I said, it
then,
might change next week, but right now I'm locking in Prism.
yeah, that's true. We could change it next week. We'll record the morning of Friday. I don't know what the time changes in Singapore from here, but I don't think we'll have any
Yeah.
information yet. We might
I'll have
we
last
might
minute
have
regrets.
meta results actually. Yeah, we
That's
might have
fair.
meta results. We'll see. All right, so like the bring rates is what I should say.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
yeah. So with that, would you like to start into the lore of Flesh and Blood?
Here we go. So
Here we
we're just
go.
breaking down the regions, but like I really like the lore. I think it's so cool, and it's like I don't know. I'm sure you can tell from the podcast and everything, but I love Flesh and Blood. So I've delved in deep.
No way.
I've dove in. Yeah. Well, yeah, but I've dove in deep into the lore like a few times here and there, and it's like usually when I'm on vacation and I'm on the plane, like I'll just like get the lore articles up, like screenshot them or whatever, and then just like read through them. It's super cool, and so like so it's I love diving deep into lore, and even at the armory this last week, people are like, oh da 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 da, like why can y'all play Oakenol? Da 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 da, and I'm like, oh well, like flavorfully it makes sense because he's part of the Yolan and this. So it's I like,
I see. I
but
see.
mechanically I can see why people are a little upset with it.
Yeah, you play it against them. They're like, why do you have this card?
It literally has Oldham on it. So, but anyways, moving back into the like main topic of the lore though. We're just gonna break down the regions because like we were talking about this week last week and we're like, man, there's not a lot we can talk about. And I'm like, we can just bring up I'm like, we
Yeah.
could just talk a little bit about the lore, just break some stuff down. So
Yeah,
that's why we're here.
and as a refresher too, this is effectively this portion of the lore is a precursor to give some background to future episodes where we dive even deeper into the lore. So this is gonna be kind of
Mhm.
like a little bit top surface level, like some basic information about everything, which I'm gonna learn a lot about because I don't know a lot of lore at all. I basically I read up on the high seas lore in preparation for the episode, but I don't know anything else. Like not a single drop of lore outside of that. So I'm learning too with you guys what Jacob's going to teach us and prepare me as well as you all for the future episodes.
And take all this with like the tiniest grain of salt. Like I think the overall stories and like mentions are gonna make sense, but there might be like one smaller minor detail that I missed. I would recommend going and reading the lore. Like legendarystories.com is an amazing resource. I would recommend go reading it. But I think it's super cool and I'm gonna like gush about it for a minute. But we'll start with my favorite area. I love Arya. Like so the first area we're gonna talk, yeah, but it's Arya, and I think it's so cool because the idea of Arya is this area that has been sanctioned off by the land around it, because it is a constantly changing area where like the land is always shaping because the land is filled with magic because it's called the flow. And Arya has been shut off from a lot of the world. So a lot of the problems between like what we'll get deeper into, like Solana, the Monastery, the like Volcor with its revolts, and like the Industrial Revolution and metrics. Like Arya doesn't know any of that. Arya doesn't have any of that. Arya is very sanctioned off, and because of that, it's actually like a very calm, peaceful area, and it's and you have like the Everfest that travels around the area of Arya, but it's sanctioned off because of its land.
So I was
And
gonna ask, do you know? So when you say sanction off because of its land, what does that mean?
like the terrain was just too rough to leave Arya. It's like I don't know how to explain the right words, but it's like mountainous or maybe not mountainous, but there's forest, or it's like the idea in like it's just too hard to leave Arya. It's not
Okay.
worth leaving Arya. Like if you it's like just too much risk and you don't know the land because the land's always
See.
changing.
Okay, so it's like it's not that it's impossible to leave, but it's difficult to leave because you can't map anything.
Yeah, more or less. And like it calmed down in more recent times or the last while. And I think the activity is starting back up again. But because it started back up again, it actually opened up Arya to the rest of the world, where it made a really easy path for people from Arya to leave and go to the rest of Wraith. And that's how they're connected, but their culture is so different. But to like break it down further, like that's not a very good descriptor of it. But to break it down further, the land itself and most of the world of Wraith is filled with something called the flow, and it's like the magic of nature. And it is only really strong and prominent in Arya. And what I think is really cool about like the Guardian Mastery Pack is the seismic surge is how the flow interacted in the different regions of Wraith before the flow started like regressing into solely Arya. Because like you have like Solana's like seismic surge, and that's like the flow breaking out of the earth. You have Volkor's seismic surge, and then I think it's even Savage Land's like seismic surge. And it's like the idea of the flow is technically everywhere, but it's only like really reserved in Arya at this point, and it's very like it's a lot calmer than it used to be.
Yeah.
And the reason in which like the heroes get the talent of elemental in Arya is because they tap into the flow and they like use this elemental magic that's in the land to kind of help them do stuff and like create this magic. So that's where it's like Flooring and Verdance work with the flow of the earth. You have like Acilio who works with the flow of lightning and the like more or less I would assume the air. I'm not sure if it totally defines that. And then you have ice, which is like Jarl, and there's Oldhim and a bunch of other Icelander that all deal with
Oh
like
yeah,
more
yeah.
of the flow of ice. And it is more like this area has like frozen mountains, and you see it a lot in the cards. Like the card art is so beautiful in Arya. And it's like just imagine like this I don't know how small, but like a smaller area with all these different locations in it, where it's like you have Volt Haven, which is a city that's held up by the lightning in the air as it flies. You have Candlehold, which is actually entraps its people inside of its own city with like the flow of magic. And then you have what's the last location again? That's on the cards.
And
That
old
Oldhim and
Eisenloft.
Jarl. Eisenloft, which is actually an ancient bastion frozen in time. And that's where like the Olin, like Oldhim and Jarl come from because they're thawing out.
Interesting.
So
Okay.
it you have all these like different areas in this like tiny little location where like the world's so different wherever you go. And it's like I love Rejuvenate as a like card art too, because you just see like the local life on Rejuvenate at like around Arya in the flow. It's like a calmer area. But the idea is like all these people are directly interacting with the flow and the world itself to cast their ability or like to use their abilities, and that's how they're like elementally changing stuff or like using the lightning to do instant speed stuff or earth to heal themselves or even the ice to kind of slow down everything around them.
Hey, I have to go for just a minute, but
Yeah.
I'll be back. I'll be back. But keep talking while I'm gone.
Okay, yeah. But that's like I personally love the flavor of like Aria, and it's just like this mystical, like magical realm. It's very, very fantasy, but it is like one of my favorite areas in all of like the world of Wraith. The There is like Corsham, the world tree, or it's not the world tree, but there's Corsham as well, which is on the Fabled. And that tree is like super cool because from my understanding, it brings people to Aria. I can't remember, like, it's been a minute since I've read the lore, but it's like it does somewhere like bring like lost souls to Aria, and it's super cool. And it's like I love Aria because it's just so much fun. It's like happy go lucky. You have Everfest Carnival, which every year it's a traveling tent. They go around all of Aria and they have like the circus where they have all these performers, and that's where actually like Bravo comes from because he's the strong man of the performance. But you have all these people coming or like coming from around Aria to go and partake. And I also love like the creatures that it breaks down in. And this is where the meeps come from. Like everyone's like favorite meeps. Like they follow the meeps follow the Everfest around because they're like crows. They're like little creatures that love like shiny things. So they go and they steal stuff from people because of the like everything's so shiny. And that's why like on a lot of the art about stealing items, you actually have the meeps on them because that's like their whole thing. They'll like steal your stuff if you're not looking out or watching, and especially at the Everfest Carnival. But that's kind of just like the base breakdown of Aria. Jumping in, you have next the Monastery, and the monastery is also a very, very cool place because the Monastery was not really it was an island off of Wraith. And what it was an island nation kind of founded by the original founder of Solana. So that you have the region and city of Solana. And the original founder ended up leaving Solana and going to an island off the continent because he was excommunicated. And he then founded the monastery. When he was excommunicated, it started the War of the Monarchs, which we're still dealing with, and we deal with all the sets. But it started the War of the Monarchs between Solana and the monastery. And Solana almost wiped the monastery off and took out the entirety of the monastery. They pushed them back to their island. And when doing that, the original founder, I forget the name of him, but he then imbued his soul into like the building of the monastery and ripped it from the dimension, which is like if you ever have played like D&D or anything, it's like you have there are like for known dimensions, there are three known dimensions where you have like the material plane or where everything else is in the world of Wraith. You have the it's just I don't know what it's called, but it's like the Shadow Realm or Hell or whatever. And it is where like Viscerai is at the moment. And the monastery actually ripped itself from the regular plane where everything else is and put itself in between like the Shadow Realm where all the Embra come from, which are the demons per se that a lot of the heroes that are Shadow Talon get their powers from. Like Leviah made a pact with Blasphemous, and you had Chain who made his pact with I forget what he's called, but the Soul Reaper, and then you have Vincent who made her pact, and they live in the Shadow Realm was who they made the pacts with, and then you have, and that's like in between that realm is where the monastery now sits. And it's really interesting because that makes it like, how does anyone get back and forth? And if you're from the monastery, you have an idea. And I think Vincent also does a very like important job because she can tear portals between the Shadow Realm and where she is through her pact. But it makes it interesting with like Viscerai's story specifically because Viscerai's body washed up on the demonastery, which is like an interesting thought and question because how did he do that? It's a body that washed up on there. But that is like the general idea of the demonastery. And it's really interesting because it goes to the idea of like dark arts and mystic science. And they do a lot of things that like are not okay. Like they do human testing. They do all of these kind of things that you'd like imagine like we have laws in and a lot of structure and like you can't do this. You can't be inhumane. You can't like you've got to be able to treat like animals and people with respect, but this monastery is removed from the world literally and physically, in which they just do whatever they want to further their knowledge of the world. And that is like the basics of the demonastery. But that is the demonastery, which is super cool in its own right. Oh, welcome back.
Sorry about that.
You missed the demonastery, so but
okay.
We'll jump over to metrics next. And metrics is super cool because it is like removed in the world of Rathe in the fact that it's like mechanical. It's not magical in a way. Because you had we just went over the demonastery and how the magic ripped it from the plane of Rathe and put it in like an in between dimension. And you had Aria, which is the land is filled with magic itself. And the people use that magic in the land like work. And now you go to metrics, which is the Industrial Revolution. And it is the idea of rejecting like to me at least, it's like the idea of rejecting Rathe and accepting technology. Because they're not using magic. They are solely interacting with the mechanics of the world. And it is super interesting with like when I was doing a little like glance over a few of them, it's cool to go through metrics because it's run by a bunch of corporate companies from my understanding, and to help themselves stave off the rest of the world that deals with magic, they actually have a rare metal. Let me see if I can find what it's called.
So that's interesting. So yeah, I was always under the impression that they used it was almost like a technological magic use, almost like Arcane from like the show Arcane. So you're saying that they don't use magic at all; it's all purely mechanical.
But well, there might be some magic mixed in, but it's like a lot of it's steam power. So like going into it, there's the Cogworks Foundation or Cogworks. Where is it? Cogworks Conglomerate. Yes, the Cogworks Conglomerate did the like Industrial Revolution where everything is powered by steam. So most everything there is like powered through steam itself. And then you have what we follow a lot in the lore of the characters is Techlo Industries, which is an like up and coming company, which deals a lot more with like digital and a lot more the like science and electricity behind the steam. And that is where like you get Teklovas, and I think even Dash deals with like the Teklo company or the Teklo Industries. It is something where like they jump a lot more into that following those stories. And then this is like 1984 where you have it's called the Mendici, which is the corporation that controls all media in the city. And it is like a corporate run government that controls all the media and maintains and makes sure everyone's happy. And then that's where like Max's story. I don't know a lot about the stories in metrics, but I think this is where like Max's story gets into it because he's like the dark side of this city where he doesn't gain all the benefits and all the happy like oh like the city's amazing, the Industrial Revolution, everyone's succeeding. He's like, okay, well I work this part-time job with this ranch doing whatever. I honestly don't know his story, but Right,
this wrench doing whatever.
from, from my understanding, though, he's like the dark side of dealing with this kind of environment, while a lot of the others are like Dash. Like I think she's the daughter of one of the CEOs, I think, of Cogworks. So it's like she has a lot of knowledge and all this extra stuff, and she's very like, I don't know if she's the daughter. Anyway, she has someone in Cogworks that she's really in good ties with. So like she gains a lot of benefit that way. But it is something like really interesting where it is like a corporate entity or like a corporate city where you have all this funding or like all this stuff is about making profit, and the city built off of that. And how it interacts with the world is by the one, there we go. It's called Tenton ore, which is a rare metal, yeah, that is found in the mines of Metrix. It's lightweight, silver in color, and it is it is one of the only known natural materials that deflects arcane attacks.
Okay.
So it is like the opposite of like magic, where they put this ore in their stuff to try and deflect the magic. And I think there is something magical about Metrix and the electricity and like all the stuff that happens there. Because I know it's like you can't really bring the mechs too far outside of Metrix because then it doesn't get powered anymore. But I don't know that part as well. I just know it like, to me it's like the rejection of like at least common magic, like the flow, or even like
Right.
when we get into Volcor, like the idea of like this common magic and going into technologies and trying to build up civilization instead of just having civilization in a weird way.
Okay.
Then we break into Mysteria, which is also a very cool area. I think that it's really cool that you can see a lot of what Mysteria is by the fabled of Mist Cloak Gully, I think it is. One sec, I had it pulled up a minute ago.
Fabled from the set.
Yeah, the fabled from the set is really cool because it's an area that's like similar to Aria in that it's like kind of closed off, but it's more because it's enshrouded by fog, and no one can really adventure through the area because you can't really see the area. Well, in Aria, you can see and interact with the world. The fog kind of shrouds the area and makes it hard to traverse through it if you're not from there or don't know how to go through there. But you have a lot of like, this is where you get a lot of those like more traditionally like uh Asian cultures like look like they're influenced this area with the part the Misfail, where you have like the bunch of different like clans, from my understanding, and each different, and like within their own society each clan has their own technique, and that's where like on cards you get like hurricane technique, you get all the like um tiger technique, or like the tiger cards, and it like breaks it down where each clan like specializes in one of these fighting techniques. And like Katsu and his clan is like, his whole story is about his people. He's the leader of this clan in a way, but his whole like all of his people are cursed with a disease. But overall, he is like, but he does like wind kind of techniques, and that's where like it is more like, it's kind of cool like ninja gains like combo based off their technique. Like you do these moves all within action and out comes this more like magical ability, like I summon this spectral tiger, this, that, or another thing. And it breaks down where like you have like buildings built into the cliffs of the mistful, or like the inside of this super hilly misty terrain. You have like buildings built in the cliffs, and there's ropes connecting you between the buildings, so you run across the ropes to get to one building to another. It is really cool and like mystical, and there's a lot of like interesting bits about this area because it's so removed from each other part of Mistveil, where you have like Ira's story and her clan, and how what is probably like the idea of the Embra breaking out of what is like this world's hell, breaking out of there and attacking this clan out of nowhere, and Ira's out on a revenge path. But that doesn't have anything to do with the rest of like Mistvale. Or and then you have like Katsu and Benji's clan where they're cursed by a disease. And Katsu's out trying to solve that, and that's in theory why he was over and outsiders in the pits. But
I see. I
like
see.
you have all these like isolated different clans inside of this area, and it's really interesting. I again, this is where my lore starts breaking off a little bit because I haven't caught up
Yeah,
as
yeah,
of
yeah.
recently. I don't know much about the Mist talent from like Mistveil itself. I don't know much about the other heroes from Mistveil.
I
But
mean,
is that like
I mean, that's fine for now because we're basically just doing the overview of the regions,
oh yeah,
right?
totally.
So yeah, I'm excited to dive into that later on. Um, yeah, but
Yeah,
at least for now, since we're just doing the baseline, it's perfectly fine not to be familiar with that.
totally. And then you have the pits, which is the pits are formed from the mines of metrics. So where does metrics get all its materials? Where does how does metrics have this industrial revolution? And it's because they've mined all the terrain around them. And the pits are all the people that live inside of these mines that metrics have left behind. So
Okay.
it is a like kind of like solely dark, like grimy area in which like you have like Azalea and the merchants, like you have Riptide coming out of like the gross water down there. It is a like, and then that's where you have like the spider like organization, which Azuri leads, and you have Riptide and Arachnian, and that is like an assassin organization that she leads. And you have more organizations like this, and this is also where a lot of like diseases are, and that's where you get inertia, blood pox, frailty. These are diseases in this world, and they thrive in the pits because it is a just like forgotten realm in a way. Like it's just so distraught. Like it's the area around it is like just it's a city built in the ruins of a mine in a way. It's really
Interesting.
interesting and cool.
Yeah.
So it's in that way, it's like you kind of, from my understanding, I think it's a similar to a city in Arcane. I think I heard, but
Is it like Piltover and Zon type of thing where like Piltover is the top part that's flourishing and then Zon is the bottom part that's like the lower class area?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Maybe
yep, that's what I heard.
backwards. Anyway, yeah.
But anyways, yeah, it's like under like in the mines of Lametrix, and it's a
I
city
see.
that's no one really like no one really prospers down here. And like Azalea makes a living by being a mercenary in the pits. I'm trying to make sure I'm not missing anything like big, but that seems like oh yeah, and there's also like a fun cult that lives in the
A fun
pits.
cult.
It's a, and this they're called La Apocalypta, and they believe that the end times are coming, and to prepare the world for the end times they cause apocalypse across the world of Rathe to prepare the people,
Okay.
because they're like people are not strong enough to survive this, so we need to start apocalypses all over the place. And that's where they think the emperor of Volcor, they think that like he could have been killed by La Apocalypta
Yeah,
to
okay.
try and yeah, there's a lot of like theories on what they do. We don't have any like confirmation, but the idea is that they cause apocalypses to try and strengthen the people.
I'm I don't mean to rush you too much, but we have about 5 minutes before I have to run.
Oh yeah, Savage Lands, real quick. It is it's pretty much just Savage. This one is actually one of my favorite favorite areas to read up on. I think it's so cool because you follow an adventure on a survival guide. I really recommend reading that.
That's
It
cool.
is it is so cool. It is my favorite read of the entire one. and it is like you're following around, you're learning like, oh, here's the. It's like I imagine in like an Australian accent, and it's like, oh, here's this plant that is like so like poisonous. Oh, here's this skull that's tougher than iron, and here's a plant that just burrowed its way through it. Oh, here's this big beast that just kills because, or like it's a really aggressive area, and there's a reason that people don't live there. But
Makes
it's
sense.
like the Alani is trying to like colonize it in a way, and then the brutes live there. But it is like the general like it is very savage, but it is like one of my favorite like reads. It's such a cool area. But there's not much more to say about it at the moment, other than like the animals and the fauna, or like the like flowers and plants and all that. Then you have Slania, which is super cool area. It is a city that started turned into a region founded by the founder of the Demonastery. So like going back to the Demonastery,
Yeah.
the original founder of Solania actually betrayed Solania, got excommunicated, and started the Demonastery.
Okay.
But they
So
are pretty
started
much
Solana from there. Yeah.
yeah, but they're pretty much a holy city where like they worship Sol, the god of Sol, which a lot of people think is an old one, which tried to like kill off all of like sentient civilization, from what I can tell, ages ago. Back when Jarl and Oldhim were young, like
Yeah.
not hundreds of years old. But this is the idea of they founded this city, and it's a holy city, and it is a city of light where they worship Sol, and they have all this area around them, and they are pretty much like the farm and like the food basket of the entire world, because they have a lot of wheat around them that they farm up, and they're in the plains. And imagine it's like the Great Plains, and you have the Pope in the middle of it, like, and they created like the Papal
Huh.
Church. Like that's kind of Slania, but it's around like Sol, the god of light, and you have all the like heralds that like follow Sol.
I see. I see.
There's a lot more you can go into, like the Hand of
Okay.
Sol, which is like the militant group. You have there's a lot on Sol, and I think it's one of the coolest areas. Two of the I think generally, not just my flavor, generally coolest areas I think are the monastery and Sol. I like again, I recommend reading everything, but
Of
that's
course.
like the basic, yeah, basics of Solania, and then finally Volcor is like the city, or like not the city, it's like a region of more like volcanic activity, and they live on top of, I think people theorize it's an old, or like live around what is like an old one, but like an ancient dragon, which the emperor communicates and keeps down, because I think it's yeah, it's hard to remember exactly what it is, but it is like the idea that they are around one of these like ancient dragons, and they have a city around there, and it's the emperor's job to communicate and keep the dragon down. And that's why it's so bad that the emperor was killed.
He was holding back the dragon that's now
Yeah.
gonna.
And they think it's like again an old one. Like it's not just like a regular dragon like Kai or this. Like Maragai, like it is, from what we understand, there's not a lot of information on it, but an old one, which again are like deities that try and make the human race go extinct, or like
Okay.
all more humanoid races go extinct. But what's really cool about, well, I would say what's interesting, it comes from like the blood of the dragon, so you're born with it more than you are like you gain it, like oh I can't just, it's really weird, because like Soul gives you magic in Solania. He directly gives you the magic of light. The Ember give you the magic of shadow. you interact with the magic of the land through Arya. But here, you are born with the magic from the Drakai. And that's where you have the social classes of the Drakai and the Volkai, I'm pretty sure. And the Drakai are royalty among birth, or like a higher class among birth, because they are born with the ability to interact with magic. And the Volkai are not of royal blood, and that's where they cannot interact with magic. And that's why you have the revolt, and there's constant revolt here, because you have the discrimination of like the Drakai against the Volkai.
Okay, that's
And
interesting. I didn't know that.
yeah, and another fun naming like thing about Volcor, like a short little thing, is you'll see that you have Viscerai, Kusai, you have the idea is if you are a Volkai, you have to name your kid with like
Dromai,
SIA or
uh,
SAI or
Dromai, right?
yeah, or oh yeah, you end it in I or like AI or
Bye.
whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Okay.
it's a naming scheme of that area, and that's how you name your children in that area.
That's cool. I didn't realize that. I had never like put together that there's a lot of like that naming scheme going on for it.
Yeah. And that's one of like the cool things, like culturally a name. So you can always tell if someone's from Volcor before you see any art, before you see the border, by their name. And that's why
Interesting.
Viscerai is also interesting because he has that naming convention. And it's because the guy who revived Viscerai thinks that he is from Volcor. It's a really weird lore thing.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, like again, Viscerai was a dead body that was revived by a scientist in the monastery, and he
Yeah.
thinks he's Volcorian, and that's why he's named that
Okay.
way.
Okay.
And that's where we can cut off.
Yeah.
For
So
the
I,
day.
I unfortunately have to run. I would give a brief high seas overview, but I will go over that in detail next week when we talk about the high seas and all the lore behind that, which is really cool. I'll give a teaser. The uh, what is it? The Donnie Empire was an old empire that was a that ruled based on powerful etheric magic, and basically they destroyed themselves because they all used this magic too much and grew too strong. And now everyone's searching for the lost city of Triple Donny, which is almost like the lost city of Atlantis. Effectively, it's this rumored city that still exists and it was not destroyed during that empire, the collapse of the empire, and still has the strong magic and magical items from that era. But more on that next week. Anything else you want to leave our listeners with?
No, I think I've said too much.
Yeah, I'll leave a question. What region? We'll talk about high seas next, but what region would you like us to talk about after that? Let us know in the comments below. And with that, I'm Cody.
And I'm Jacob.
And thanks for watching and listening.